Merry Christmas from the Moon, the map of the Earth. Vibes of Cosmos is the only one that speaks the whole truth 100%. Vibes of Cosmos, book number 1, Cosmic Plasma Phenomenon. Moon is not a solid object. It is a focused, mirrored, electromagnetic plasma phenomenon caused by the magnetic field from below. It happens due to the photochemical reactions in the ionosphere, in the atmosphere, and in the ethereal field above. This is from book number 1. The Moon is the focused electromagnetic phenomenon, as you can see here. Let me show you more pictures. And then this is from book 1, which shows you the initial parts of the Moon and everything else. As you can see here, the Moon is transparent, see-through moon. The Moon is transparent from phase half moon till full moon, and from full moon till half moon. Also in the first book of Vibes of Cosmos, there's a thing about Antarctica, what Antarctica really is. So the distances, and then Antarctica, which this content is not Antarctica, what we see on the globe, and where the Antarctica bases and stations are on the Moon, so they can understand, and also how daylight is being created, the creation of daylight, which is very simple on the Earth, which is not a spinning ball with curved water. And book number 1 is like an introduction. Then afterwards, in book number 2, it goes like really beyond, in the sense of explaining the, oh, I'm sorry, this is like a video. In the sense of explaining the constellations map and the oceanographia, which is like the map of the oceans, the black sun, which is the source of the electromagnetism, moon rotation with the mathematics, and the astronomical clock. Let me just show you quickly here where you can see it shows you like a calculation of the phases and the rotations of the actual electromagnetic field, so you can understand the moon phases, which is very important calculations. So there's plenty of maths, which is the reality of the real world maths. Then we have the the phenomenon of the Moon, which is the electromagnetic phenomenon that happens in the semi-ethereal field above, around 5,500 kilometers altitude, diameter of 51 kilometers, made from fluorescence and phosphorized ether or krypton. Cosmic electromagnetic energy comes from below, which is the black sun, the source, and hits the inner side of the toroidal field, what we call the dome, which actually is curved. So the dome, the electromagnetic force is curved energy. There's a prismatic refraction of this cosmic energy there that separates into the plus and minus, which creates the sun, which is plus, and the moon, which is the minus. Then we're going to see more about the sun, where the sun is as well the same stuff. The plus, again, same altitude, 5,500 kilometers, so 5,500 and 51 kilometers diameter. The sun in this case is helium, so the moon krypton and the sun helium, and that's why then you have all these comics and fantasy books that take their information from the reality of the real world to put it as science fiction and fantasy. The calculations of the altitude and maths, which you can take the time for yourself to research. Just want to give you a tour as fast as possible. The oceans, oceanographia, which shows you the great depths in the oceans. They understand the currents, which work perfectly. As you know, the moon is the map of the Earth, which is perfectly flatness. It's the reality of the real world. This is pure science and technology. Then we have the stars and constellations, so you understand what the stars really are. The imprints of the great depths from the bottom of the oceans and the continents. Also the understanding how the black sun is moving and working. We call it the black sun because it's the origin of the sun we see on the sky. That's why we call it the black sun. It's black because of electromagnetic. Also to understand the constellation circle on the moon and the zodiacs, and to understand that Hyperborea is not actually the center seen. It is the center for the Antarctica Treaty, but not the center of what we understand as the world. How the refraction angle and phases that happen for the moon and the sun to work, and also the astronomical clock, very important. And then in book number 2, they also explain something about the distances we understand on the oceans and the seas, Vibes of Cosmos here. Then we have book number 3, just want to take you on a tour. Book number 3 goes for like the Earth's craters map. The craters very important, the eclipses, the meteors, and understand what happens in space, the meteors and the comets and stuff, the Antikythera mechanism and the planets. So you understand what the planets really are. The analemma, the movement of the sun and the moon, the analemma, which is actually calculated here, so you can understand the middle spiral step, because it's not a full circle, it's actually a spiral. Analemma, very important. And then, and then the eclipses explained in full detail with the phases and everything else, the overtaking of the sun and the moon, the four elements, which then we have in the myths. We have to understand the cycles, the biochemical cycle, the biological chemical cycle, the water and the carbon cycle, the oxygen cycle, the celestial phenomena. That's very important, the ignition zone. So we understand actually what is space in reality and how the things happen in space, like the comets and the meteors and the weather conditions and the comets creation, the Milky Way and everything else. The rotation of the moon. What else? Oh yeah, these distances. So comparison between how the moon is seen at the same time from the Earth from different positions, like for example Italy and India, as an example. Very simple once you understand the maths. And of course the zodiac and the planets, what the planets are, which the planets are not solid, they're not spheres. Everybody knows this is like primary school knowledge, nothing new under the sun. It's been around for us, with us for centuries. Antikythera mechanism, just like the astronomical clock, very important. So you understand more. And then you got this thing here, which is very important as well, the underground water production. So you understand that water is very important, and the phenomena that happen underground, not just in space. Underground, the craters, super important. Once you understand the craters, you understand everything as well, which is amazing. Now let's go to book number 4. We have here the continuation. We see the Pangaea, which is the big continent, the political world map, the types of plasma, the tides, the moon motion in a lunar month, which is very hugely calculated, and the stars and the calendars. Very impressive stuff. So again, we have the how things happen in the world. Very important to understand the star regions and the black sun coil and the movement, the plasma types, the plasma sun, the plasma daylight, the plasma moon, because plasma is this state of the matter. Once you read the Vibes of Cosmos books, you understand plasma very well. Then we have this whole thing about the planets, plasma fields, imprints, one inside the other, the political world map, and we have the Pangaea, so we understand the continents of the known world in the Antarctica Treaty, and the forbidden continents, which are those which are not allowed to be seen. The tidal activity, very simple to explain, and you understand the currents and why they have the things that are happening in the world as per the map of the world. The tidal phenomenon in general, tides and the great depths, and the relationship with the electromagnetism, everything is electromagnetic. The sun, look at this, the moon in its different movements. Then of course the calculations here are very important, because each square, every box is 1,000 kilometers height per 1,000 kilometers width. So it's like 1 million square kilometers, right? So 1,000 times 1,000 is 1 million. Very important, very super important, because that way you can calculate the distances in the world and the Earth, and this is like proper geography, how things had to be done. So every box, look at this, every box is 1,000 per 1,000 kilometers. And that's how you understand afterwards how you travel with airplanes and ships and why we can't travel. And I think this is like also the book where it speaks about the traffic of airplanes, but I'm not sure. Anyway, more to see. So the distances, again, every square is 1,000 per 1,000, so we understand the size of the continents and of the oceans. Truly math and science. Then the motion of the stars. Oh yeah, the lunar calendar, the motion of the stars, and the electromagnetic toroidal field, which is the one that curves. The angular speed of the sun, very important math. The constellations, the moon and plants, the relationship with like the moon and the animal and plant life. And now let's go to the last 2 books. Book number 5, 3 books. Book number 5 really goes into depth about more things like the ice ages and the frequencies and the electromagnetic stuff and how earthquakes and volcanoes happen. You have here this is so awesome. Then you have like to understand the difference in colors of the continents. What's land, what's ocean, what's ice. This thing here about frequencies and spectrum and the whole expansion of the electromagnetic fields, very important. This is like the stuff we've studied in school, in primary and secondary school and high school, but we forget about this because we are lazy. So Vibes of Cosmos does a very good job in explaining all this again, so we understand afterwards how the phenomenons work with the moon creation and the sun creation, with electromagnetism, the forbidden continents, Pangaea, and the ice ages and the resets and everything, the cycles, the volcanoes, the earthquakes, how there's no lithospheric plates and the colors of the moon, and there's no movements of the continents, and what the stuff that happens underneath in the ground. Then of course the ice ages, like I said. and the phenomena in the sky, what has to do with like thunders and lightnings and tornadoes and everything else, and all these elements. Oh, the rocks, the minerals, very important in the earth. And oh yeah, the out of the dome, right? So once you know, the elements of the sublunar place, and then once you understand why we have the optical illusion of believing that the moon is like a sphere, which is not. It's super easy and simple to understand once you read this book number 5. And then book number 6 goes into depth about Mars. So if you want to understand, this is blowing up your mind in terms of like everything you thought you knew, like to understand beyond like the oceans and the continents and beyond, and the moon and the craters and beyond the maps and the limitations of the Antarctica Treaty and Pangaea in the different ages, and where the Lord of the Rings got the maps from the Mordor and stuff, and the extended world map, and the ice ages, the ice areas, and the areas which you can exit but we can't because we don't have any submarines, and it's forbidden to go by airplane and ship. Fascinating. Book number 6 has blown me away in like pieces. Then the outer fields, to understand what's beyond the Mercury and Venus, and then the field of Mars, so we understand the real universe and the real space, which this is like totally blows me away in multiple pieces, and resets my mind and allows me to understand the reality of the real world. The craters guide map, a full map of the craters, which I have in full high definition if you buy it separately, and then Vibes of Cosmos finishes with the latest book, which is this book number 7, to speak more about the stars map and the water and air and fire cycles, and Jupiter going beyond Mars. So if Mars wasn't enough for you, then Jupiter. Also explaining the lightnings and the breathing of the earth, which is very odd. This is like going into more detail than book number 6, the elements and plasma and the ether gradations, so you understand the earth's fields in layers, the habitable places, the illusionary world, the craters, again the map of Mars, so you understand where we are in the universe, the flat universe. Then Jupiter going beyond Mars, so you understand where what we call the extraterrestrials live, which are like superior humans. This is like, if you know, this is of course my videos are going to be really lame because no views are I don't get any views, and YouTube doesn't recommend my channel, but I'm trying my best to just give you this tour so you understand the world map, so you see the continents with description and full detail and descriptions about the colors and the continents and the distances, and so you understand what Antarctica really is and how they made this fake Antarctica. It's just one of those things that totally blows you away. The exits where you can travel where there's no ice, but we can't travel because of the Antarctica Treaty, and all this is the reality of the real world. Oh, by the way, we have to and the lunar calendar, which again in full detail. This takes time, but if you give it the time, you wake up to the reality of the real world, because that's your purpose in life, to wake up from the illusion and to live in reality. Stars and constellations map, which totally blows you away. And that's it. So this was Vibes of Cosmos. Merry Christmas from the moon, which is the map of the earth, and see you in the next video.